Hi, everybody, and welcome back to our next episode of Unprocessed Sugar. I appreciate you joining us, and I think you're going to get a lot out of today's episode. Our guest today is Carolyn Nicholas, who is all the way from England.
Yes.
Came just for this and for you guys. But anyway, she's been kind enough to take out time from her busy schedule and join us. And Carolyn works in the area of functional medicine. Would you have a title to what you do, or does that kind of sum it up?
So I have a certification in functional medicine health coaching, and I'm also in what they call an FDNP, so functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner.
That's a mouthful.
That is.
All right.
Yeah.
So again, today's episode is about functional medicine. So what is functional medicine?
Functional medicine really is kind of, we look at the body as a whole. So everything, affects everything else. But we also like to go upstream. So, yes, you have a symptom, but the symptom is this kind of result of something else happening. So kind of, it's never going to be a case where you can, identify any single one factor possibly that's triggering, but, looking at the body as a whole and trying to kind of go more upstream to figure out what could be, some of the root cause.
Right. And root cause that you just mentioned, that's the phrase I see all the time with regards to functional medicine.
Yes.
Looking for the root cause.
Yes.
And another way someone said it to me in my reading was there's a what and there's a why. And Western medicine really seems to focus on what's wrong with you. You have this symptom, you have that symptom, whereas functional medicine, I know I'm overly simplifying it, but really is more of a why. Why are you ill? And then addressing that. I like your phrase upstream.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Well, it's not new, but as far as the general public's concerned, it's kind of a new thing. As far as how much media attention it's getting, and people like myself doing a podcast on it, your career is based on that.
Yes.
What are some of the misconceptions that people might have about functional medicine?
I think that they would think it's more alternative, right? We spoke about this before. It's really not. It's really, it's just kind of breaking it down. And rather than, in conventional medicine, the doctor will treat the symptom or the paper, or actually we want to kind of look at correlations of symptoms. How do you feel? Not just about treating the paper, and kind of, like we said, going more upstream to kind of look at lifestyle factors as well that can influence how you're feeling.
Awesome. So that's obviously a difference between Western medicine.
Yeah.
In addition to that, are there any glaring differences between Western medicine, allopathic medicine, and functional medicine? They kind of covered it pretty well.
Yeah, I think in Western medicine, you tend to get written prescriptions, whereas functional medicine, it's more nutraceuticals, lifestyle interventions, rather than going down just the prescription route, which, it works for some, it doesn't always work for everybody. But there are definitely lifestyle interventions that you can do that are easy, that are free, and that can really shift how you're feeling.
Make a big difference.
Right.
And kind of the bottom line to all that, in my opinion, is those are things you can control.
Correct.
Those are things you can make a decision. I'm going to sleep better, exercise, eat whole foods, and stay away from pharmaceuticals.
Right.
So, excuse me. So there's got to be some overlap, of course, right? But do you find that you're competing against the mainstream doctor, or do you find that it's more of a symbiotic relationship?
You can definitely have a symbiotic relationship. Right. I think nowadays there are more doctors who are functional medicine trained. Right. Before it was just it was more rare. But I think more doctors are kind of looking at, things that you can change, whether it's sleep, whether it's what you're eating, all of the above. And realizing that nutrition and all these factors play a really massive role. In kind of how you feel day to day, but also how your body, we got to optimize, right? And I think we just need to take more time to, it's a lot of people might think, well, functional medicine's expensive because it may not be covered under insurance necessarily all the time. There are testings, the lab tests that you can get done as well. And sometimes even the nutraceuticals can be expensive.
Sure.
I
take a lot of supplements, and we'll have episodes on that. And I finally sat down and was adding it all up. And I thought, oh my gosh, I got to nip and tuck some of that because it was getting away from me.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of overlap in some of what I was taking. Hey, everyone, and thank you so much for checking out Unprocessed Sugar and our content. I would love it if you don't mind. Please subscribe to our channel, either YouTube or the website. If you go to the website and subscribe, you'll actually get an email notification every time we post a new episode. And of course, on YouTube, when you go back to YouTube, you'll get notified that we've posted new content as well. But it helps us grow our presence, helps us spread our message. Really means a lot. Thank you so much. So I refer to it as the A word, alternative. And I really don't like that term. I think it does a disservice and an injustice to a lot of different things. Because these things aren't alternative. They're really, they're not mainstream, so to speak, but I think they're heading that way.
Definitely.
But things like Ayurvedic medicine, which is what they practice in India for 3,000 years, how could that possibly be alternative? Right? That's mainstream. So I really go out of my way to not use the term alternative, but it kind of sums it up for people. They can put their head around it and understand what that means. So how have you found the reception of most mainstream doctors to functional medicine? A lot of resistance, or kind of looking at you with a squinty eye, or are you finding that people are starting to be a little more open-minded about it?
I think now it's more, it's definitely more, people are more open-minded about it. Whereas, 5 years ago, if you said you had a gluten sensitivity, they would go, that's just rubbish.
Yeah, everybody's sensitive to gluten. Right?
Everybody's sensitive to something. But, ultimately, these things, whether it's social media now and a lot of, doctors are on social media and kind of spreading the word. And it does, I think when you understand the science behind it, it makes sense. So, I think definitely it's becoming more, definitely more accepted. And I think people are looking for a way to improve how they feel and optimize how they feel and not go down the pharmaceutical route necessarily.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And there's become a growing amount of distrust, I think, amongst the general public towards the medical industry as a whole. And some of it's warranted, I think. And some of it is, may not be, but they are open-minded to hearing about these things. So root causes, again, that's kind of our main focus. What would you say are some of the top root causes of things that lead people into feeling poorly?
I would say nowadays, I think it's chronic stress. And it's not just the stress that you're feeling on a day-to-day basis. The body reacts to stress in the same way, whether it's, your boss or the wrong foods that you ate, mental, physical, it still responds as if you're running from a tiger. That's all it knows. So your cortisol goes up and stays elevated, and then you're in a catabolic state. And what does that mean? It means you're breaking down muscle and tissue, constantly. Whereas, back in the days, when we were hunter-gatherers, you would see a tiger, your cortisol would go up, and, that basically shuts down the rest of your body, the digestion, everything shuts down, and your body's in survival mode. So run. So the problem is if we're constantly in that state, which we seem to be nowadays, your body just does not recover.
Right.
So yeah.
We don't give it. What would you say another one or two that are up there with stress? Stress really could encompass a lot.
A lot.
But are there any others that you think?
Yeah, I mean, ultra processed foods. It's. Yes, we're always busy. So yes, we're always on the go, but we have to go back to eating more whole foods and unprocessed foods.
Throw an apple in your backpack instead of a bag of chips or something with 19 ingredients. That's great. So of these root causes, we talked about stress. I kind of assume what the answer to this question will be. If somebody were to pick one root cause and get the biggest bang for the buck, that they could fix. Stress, I'm assuming, would probably be up there. Right?
Ideally, yes.
Any others that you could think of that, hey, if you really fix this, you're going to feel a lot better?
Yeah.
Sleep, okay.
100%.
Right. I follow Dr. Andrew Huberman, and he talks a lot about nootropics, which are supplements that help different aspects of our well-being. And he would say, okay, the best nootropic for your hair. Sleep. Your best nootropic for lowering your stress. Sleep. And it just kept going out. It was sleep. So it really is. And especially in this country, I used to say, I'll sleep when I'm dead, but it's not good. And I have very poor sleep, but I'm working on it. I'll get there. Hopefully before I'm dead.
It's one of these things, if you don't know your sleep, you can get the wearables, whether it's the Whoop or the Oura Ring or whatever, wearable you want to do, but have a look at the data and then start to change things, whether it's what you're eating at night for dinner, how close to bedtime are you eating? When are you working out? Are you working out too close to bedtime? So there's a lot of de-stressing that you can do, and screen time is a big factor. We're bombarded with blue light.
We really are. I try to not be on my screen. The TV may be on, but my phone with at least for 2 hours before sleep.
Yeah,
because I've noticed a huge difference in that. So stress is really a big topic here. Yeah. So stress in our nervous system, we're not handling it well. We have too much. How does that tie into chronic illnesses? What are some of the manifestations of that?
Yeah, well, basically it goes back to good old cortisol. So if that is constantly raised, chronically raised, your insulin is raised as well. So there you go, you're storing fat. And like I said, it's a catabolic. You're in a catabolic state. So your body's constantly thinking it's running from a tiger. So it's constantly, going to muscle or tissue to break down for quick energy.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So that's why quick energy.
Quick energy.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So this is a little selfish question for my own reasons, but what would be some of the things one could do to start to lower your stress?
Yeah, great question. I think the answer is whatever works for you.
Right.
So whether that is going to yoga class or box breathing or, whatever makes you, what's fun for you? What did you used to do as a kid to knock off steam and things like that? Is it playing your guitar? Is it going hiking?
Right.
Those kinds of things. To try to incorporate more of those into your week.
Okay.
So I think it's more about, nowadays it's more about prioritization, right? Prioritize your sleep. Prioritize your de-stressing.
Right.
Is it going to the gym, but not going to an hour's Peloton class necessarily?
Right.
Is that too stressful for your body? Maybe you need to go into the sauna, something to do, something like that.
Right. And you kind of briefly said something, and Chase Petty, who did our episode on fitness, stressed this. Whatever you are going to do, it shouldn't be a burden.
Right.
It shouldn't feel like a chore to have to do it, because then that adds to your stress level.
Yes.
And then you're kind of starting to...
But also I would say for women, women's hormones are much more delicate than men's. So for us, going to a gym and doing a spinning class for an hour is actually really stressful on the body.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, do other things, whether it's yoga or Pilates or even just walking.
Walking, right.
Walking is low stress, but huge benefits.
And easy to do and simple to incorporate
easy to
into
do.
your routine.
Yeah.
So, the cortisol will jack up your sympathetic nervous system.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
And if my sympathetic nervous system is always on overdrive, how am I going to see that manifested physically? What do you think I should look out for so I know that I got a problem?
Well, I think your fasting glucose, for instance, if you're checking that, your resting glucose is going to be higher. So obviously, it's raised cortisol has got raised insulin.
Right.
It could be affecting your sleep. Right. So if you're waking in the middle of the night, that definitely has an effect on how you're sleeping. But yeah, I think just it could be headaches. It could be manifesting in a lot of different things. There's actually probably not, most of the things you're going to find, So
can't really sum it up to just one thing.
Yeah.
Lose your hair, your skin's breaking out. I mean, go on and on, right?
It can go on and on and on. You could be getting sick because your immune system's not functioning properly. I think cortisol, when it's raised, it does shut down digestion. So you're not digesting your food. You're going to have malnutrition.
Okay.
And there's tests that can show kind of those kinds of
I don't
things.
know where you're at with that. So gut health and all of this. I've learned a lot that our whole immune system, not the whole, but mainly comes from the gut.
Yeah.
So in functional medicine, what are some of the main areas with regards to gut health that you might inquire about or even incorporate into someone's routine?
Yeah, I think, the biggest thing with gut health is leaky gut. And we've all probably heard that term.
Right.
So what is leaky gut? It's basically, you have tight junctions in your gut lining, and those tend to separate. So larger and larger food particles start to get through, and then you create autoimmune responses. So I think, for instance, kind of, looking at what foods you could be sensitive to right now, and then removing some of those. I just did that test a couple of days ago. So it kind of highlights, what you need to remove and what you need to be very cautious of.
What test was that, if you don't mind my asking?
Yeah, so that's a test by Oxford Biomedical. It's called the MRT.
Okay.
So that test I really like, because you don't have to have eaten the food in the last 2 weeks to have it be, for it to be challenged and to reveal. So they have a couple of different amounts of foods. I did the 176 food test. Really gives you a good insight into what your body's reacting to right now. MRT.
Now, that makes me think, is that in the panel when people get the MTHR? Or is that, that's a methylation thing, but...
Yeah, that's methylation. That's more genetics, the genetics.
Okay, I gotcha. Yeah. So, leaky gut, I used to think, oh, come on, really? But I learned that exactly what you said, the lining opens, things leak out, and it causes widespread inflammation.
Yes.
Which, again, something I'm learning, that's... If I had to pick one thing that's the biggest, baddest culprit, it's inflammation. And it leads to heart disease and diabetes and you name it, autoimmune disorders. So, okay, I've got leaky gut. I do my MTR. I guess you start by removing the offending agents.
You would,
And eliminating things that cause the leaky gut, sugar, and artificial sugar, and things like that, right?
Right.
Okay. So the gut in functional medicine are very, very intimately involved with one another.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you gave me 3 strategies to help my gut, like what would be 3 easy things I could do? You just talked about a couple of them, eliminating certain things.
Yeah, because it's funny because you would say, salmon is healthy, right? That's a healthy food. We all know wild salmon is healthy. But actually, wild salmon could be something that your body is reacting to. So if it is, we would not want to eat it. Right. It is not healthy for you. So kind of understanding that is definitely a good thing. I'm a big believer in, whole foods, cycling in and out of like maybe a carnivore diet, but, kind of, good fats. Right. How you eat as well, right? So blood sugar regulation plays a big part in this. So good fats and eating your good fats and proteins first with your fiber, saving any carbohydrates for the end of your meal.
So that really makes a difference. The order in which you clean your plate off.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you say, how you eat. That's one.
Yes.
What are some of the other, like time of day? Or?
Time of day, definitely. I mean, if you're not eating too close to bedtime, again, it all comes back to stress and cortisol. So you want to get good sleep. This is why functional medicine, just makes sense, right? All of it plays a part. It's not just segregating, okay, we'll do this for your gut and then do that for your sleep. You kind of all put it together, and it works. But I would say, definitely, not eating. We used to hear about, you have to eat every 15 minutes to, balance your blood sugar. Right. Well, actually, if you eat the right foods for breakfast, and it should be more of a savory breakfast, right? Let's not go into cereals and start spiking blood sugar up first thing in the morning. But that should last you 3 to 4 hours before you're hungry again. So paring back that, making sure that we're eating the right foods, and then not eating every 15, 20 minutes, that kind of thing.
Sorry, maybe a little off topic or slightly related to, but eating in the morning. So I've lost a lot of weight in the last couple of years, a lot. And I fast is what I do. I basically just eat in the evenings. Yeah. But then I was watching Gabrielle Lyons, I think her name is, and she's really big on first thing in the morning, get a ton of protein. 30 grams, 40 grams of protein. Yeah. So I'm kind of, which way should I go? Yeah. I did it very rapidly. It was unhealthy. I was calorie restrictions, but I was wasting muscle because I wasn't getting any protein.
You're going to lose muscle.
So she really rang a bell with me. So I've got a protein drink that I'm becoming more consistent with. Yeah. But so what would you say about that? Morning, definitely get something in you. Don't go until lunchtime. Yeah,
I think it's definitely more, I think we're seeing more that the longer you fast before bedtime, the better your sleep's going to be. Okay. But also, so eating in the mornings until, whatever time works for you, that sort of eating window is better. And then, more protein. Okay. Protein, good fats, that kind of thing.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've got several different kinds of protein powders that have their different benefits. Cachava is plant-based. Okay. 70 different minerals, elements, and vitamins in it. Okay. But it didn't have enough protein, so I've got another one called Equip, which is they take beef, dry it and grind it into a powder.
Okay.
And if you want a vanilla flavor.
So what's wrong with just eating the steak for breakfast?
Well, that would be good too, but I got 2 minutes. I got to go.
Oh, okay.
That's the only reason.
Okay.
And that's really why I have poor eating habits, because the time you got to shop, you got to cook it, clean it.
Yeah, I know.
And I can just wolf down a shake, and it takes longer to make it than it takes to drink it. But that's the only reason why.
Yeah.
But there's no doubt you should chew your food.
Yes.
Right, because of the enzymes that get going in your mouth and so forth.
Yeah.
So I know, and I've been talking with people about functional medicine. Some people, getting less frequently though, they think it's alternative. They think it's hippy dippy. It's kind of woo, but it's not. It's not at all. And I mean, it is evidence based.
Yes.
Like allopathic medicine and osteopathic medicine is. It's not just kind of figuring it out and making stuff as you go.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important to stress to people that this is science-based, science-backed, evidence-based. It's not just someone's theory and thought. So and I think that will hopefully get some people who are skeptics to at least take a look and open their mind to it. Hopefully more doctors as well.
And going to the study, and I think it's important to look at who funded the study, as well. So, you can always kind of go to the scholarly papers and read them yourselves. And then, people can AI them nowadays to speed it up. But
man, you just hit a really important topic. Who funded the study?
Yeah.
There are so many studies funded by the food companies or the drug companies. And that to me is completely throws it out the window.
Yeah.
And, who can you trust and who's it putting out? Who's putting it out? There's something that the president of the American Diabetes Association said recently. I was shocked. An interviewer was talking to him about the diabetes epidemic worldwide, really.
Right.
And he says, there's 350 million diabetics, and 1 out of 10 healthcare dollars, Medicare dollars, are spent on diabetes-related problems. Da 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 da.
Yeah.
And the interviewer says, well, why do you think that is? From what I'm learning, it really kind of comes down to our food and what we're eating and our food source. And the president of the American Diabetes Association says, "Oh, I'm not touching that. I'm not going to get into that." Well, that's kind of your job. You're our watchdog.
Right.
You should be telling us what's what about that. So
absolutely.
Who can you trust?
It's hard.
It's really hard.
You got to cut through the noise nowadays.
You got to cut through the noise.
Yeah.
Cross-reference things.
Yes.
Who funded it? Who wrote it? And you really be shocked at what's out there.
Yeah, and I think it's you can easily educate yourself now. Even just checking your own fasting glucose if you want to get it tested, with your doctor, and just keep monitoring it.
Right.
And then change it up. You can get different sleep, change up different foods. Do little extra things. Whether it's eating a meal and then walking for 10 minutes afterwards really helps balance blood sugar.
Do you utilize the CGM's continuous glucose monitors much?
Initially,
right?
It's not something that you need to do all the time, but I would wear one for a good month.
Okay.
Test out different foods, but also test out the order of which you're eating the food, right? Because that can make a difference
in
with
that
your spike.
one meal, the order.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I'm sorry. What was the order again? Carbohydrates last.
So it's kind of what you put in your stomach first is going to get digested first. So fiber, harder to digest, right? Protein, good fats, harder to digest. Whereas carbohydrates, if you're eating pasta or bread, simple sugar is going to be digested very quickly if that was the first thing you put in.
Okay, so that's last.
Yeah.
Leave
it last.
Protein, fats first.
Yeah, fiber.
Okay. And fiber. Okay, fiber. I've added some fiber to my routine lately. Psyllium husk fiber, and I've started doing it mainly for appetite suppression. I'm really hungry, take a big old drink of fiber. I'm not hungry anymore.
Yeah.
Not the best tasting stuff, but as I've learned more how important fiber is, I thought it was just to help firm up your bowel movements.
Well,
oh my gosh.
That's another topic in
it
itself
really is.
because
It really is.
I've been cycling on and off of carnivore.
Okay.
And interestingly, if you eat a carnivore diet, you don't need fiber.
Really?
You kind of utilize whatever it is, 98% of what you eat gets utilized. So you actually don't,
that's interesting.
What is fiber? Why do you need it? It's because you're eating all the other kind of foods.
Okay. So if you don't have those.
There is that kind of.
Interesting.
There is that also to think about. And I think carnivore is definitely there. And a lot of people do it more. I like to do it I wouldn't do it full time forever, but
Okay.
I would cycle on and off, maybe 1 week on and then a couple weeks off. And then I think, it's all very personal. Like try it for yourself and see how you feel. But I do believe, animal protein, look, we used to be hunter-gatherers. And what did we eat? Animal proteins. We ate the skin on whatever it was. We ate the fat, didn't we, from the animals? So,
it worked for millions, I don't know about millions of years, but hundreds of thousands of years.
It did. It really did. And we also didn't have access to food 24/7, did we?
Right.
So.
Right. You may go a day and not even eat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
that's a really good point.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Because then you have innate stem cells that get activated when you don't eat. So a lot of fasting, fasting windows, obviously don't just go and do a 3-day fast on me without, checking and then making sure. But 3 to 5 days water fast, I think that's what we used to do.
Right.
We just didn't have access to foods.
I've heard that term, water fast. What's a water fast? You only have water for X amount of time?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then, how long does somebody usually do that for? 3 days?
Yeah, I think 3 days you start. I mean, you're getting into autophagy, right? When you start going 17 hours fasting, and autophagy is kind of breaking down your
own body.
Yeah, but the kind of garbage cells at that point and cleaning out.
Senescent cells?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Okay, but after about a certain length of time, you're probably not getting, it's probably a diminishing returns at some point, I imagine.
Yeah, I think you really start getting into anti-aging around 5 days fasting.
Oh, man.
And I think Dr. Walter Longo's really studied the fasting and the fasting mimicking diet and things like that. But
Walter Longo.
He's, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So we've been talking about some of the lifestyle things we can do. And I hadn't broken down stress, inflammation, longevity, but I kind of think this all overlap.
It all does.
What's good for one is going to help the others, and we kind of hit several of those key points.
Yes.
I'm trying to think if there's any that we didn't really hit. Exercise, sleep.
Yeah, and I think with exercise, weightlifting. Resistance training.
Yeah, I follow Dr. Peter Adia. He's really big on resistance training and not get bulky and not heavy weights.
Yeah.
Could be bands.
Could be. But I would say, especially for women. So, as we age, we lose muscle naturally.
Right.
Caloric restriction, you said, you mentioned muscle loss, and we do that naturally. So we really need to be working on building that and maintaining it. Right. It's good for mitochondria, which is your energy. So if you want more energy, build more muscle.
Right.
If you want better blood sugar balance, build more muscle. If you want better bone density,
build more muscle. Yeah, right. That's true. It really is. It's one of the biggest predictors of someone's demise as we get older is loss of muscle mass and falls.
Yes.
And that's, again, something we can control.
We can easily control.
Very easily. And again, sometimes people have this misconception that, I got to get in the gym and get really big, but that's not it at
I don't
all.
think you can get really big, right?
No,
I think it's just, it's just get there, get lifting. More and more women are kind of going, it's okay now. It's more fashionable. I don't want to be super skinny. I actually want to have some muscle tone.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this doesn't have to be bulky, just tone.
Just tone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is all great stuff. What is there anything on the horizon? Any new news that we might hear of soon, or any new developments or philosophies with regards to all this?
Yeah, I see a lot of kind of peptides coming into play, and a lot of great research. The Russians have been studying these for decades now. Peptides. Yep. Dr. Kavinson was the original. He studied them. So there's a lot of research out there. And I think they're being utilized more and more by biohackers, especially, some of them for anti-aging. We've all heard of Ozempic and Wegovy or semaglutide, tirzepatide, retatrutide.
And those are peptides.
These are all just peptides.
Right,
yeah. So,
And for our audience, a peptide is a chain of amino acids that signal to the rest of the body what to do.
Right.
And you give your body a little bit of a peptide and you'll make more growth hormone or whatever the goal may be.
Yeah.
It's interesting. You go on all the different sites to buy peptides and all of them say the same thing.
Yeah.
Not for human consumption.
Yes.
So eventually they'll change that once they get enough studies and clinical trials and all that.
Yeah.
But I thought that was interesting that every single company says the same thing because they're not.
Yeah.
But the number of my patients I've been seeing using them is growing.
Yes.
Quite dramatically, actually.
Absolutely.
And I've seen dramatic results from them as well.
Yeah. I mean, insulin is a peptide.
Yeah, there you go.
So there you go.
Yeah, right? Yeah, absolutely. All right. So you mentioned it a few times about the concept of treating the whole person.
Yes.
We're not just treating an organ system.
Yeah.
We're treating the person as a whole. And a theme that we hit on here is most of what we talk about, of course, deals with our bodies, but I think of it as the mind, body, soul. Mm-hmm. And that's the whole person. I mean, the stress.
Right.
Most of what you do for stress is not a physical thing that you take or a shot you take or pill you take. It's breath work, be still, meditation, exercise, sleep. Mm-hmm. So I like that a lot, that treat the whole person and mind, body, and soul.
Mind, body, and soul,
awesome. Awesome. Well, Carolyn, I want to thank you so much for coming all the way from England to join us. That was great.
Thank you.
And I want to thank our audience for joining us again. If you would, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It helps grow our audience and our presence. And if you're able to go on the website, unprocessedsugar.com, and if you sign up on there, you'll get an email every time a new episode gets launched. But I really appreciate you taking the time to join us today. I hope you got something out of it. I know I did. Got a lot out of it. Now I just need to do it.
Yep.
But thanks so much, and we'll see you next time. Hi, I'm Dr. David Sugar, a doctor here in Florida, and thank you for joining us on our podcast. A quick note, this is for educational and general information purposes only. Listening to this podcast does not constitute a doctor-patient relationship, and please consult with your own healthcare provider before making any changes to your own care. If you are having a medical emergency, please call 911 or your local emergency number. Any items, tests, medications that we talk about or discuss are for information purposes only and are not an endorsement. Once again, thank you for joining us, and please see the website for the full disclosure and waiver. Thank you very much.